Welcome to our time. If I said to you, smile, it's free, would you? Just a small one? Well, we do it with babies and the smile is natural on both sides. But as we age, we often forget how important a smile can be and how infectious. Yogi Devgan made a documentary film which screened at the Diversity in Cannes Film Showcase in France, of course, and won the Best Editor Award. The film is based on the story of Stephen Cord, and Yogi joins us now.
Hello,
Yogi.
Malcolm.
Now, we've known each other for quite a while because you used to work on this very show.
Yeah. It was amazing.
What's it like
experience.
being in front rather than behind?
I love it both sides, put it this way.
Well, no, that you've been on the program before.
Yeah.
Mostly talking about the things that you've been involved with the Film Diversity Festival. What's that called again?
FTIF Film Festival, which will happen this September.
Yep. So that was a film festival that you instigated.
Yes.
Because you saw a need for more recognition of work being made by film people all over the place.
Yeah, all over the place, like how Australia is multicultural. So what my initiative is to give people chances to showcase their work as well as on-screen, off-screen. So more showcase, the more help for every creative
sure.
in the industry.
But you also came to the university where we make this program,
Yes.
and now that you're not at the university anymore, you're out looking for making films.
Yeah.
Which is not an easy process, is it?
No.
I'm sure everybody thinks, oh, we'll just do that. But the cost, finding the right people, the technicians, the actors, the locations, all of those things.
All of those things.
Why do you think it's so hard? Is it because it's just a hard industry to break into?
It's not hard industry to break into, put it this way, like anyone who knows how to tell a story is a filmmaker, whether you go to a university or school or you don't. But like teams, the right teams come together, right stories, and obviously, it's all about improving the craft as well as the sales.
Well, you've made quite a few short films. Your short films aren't that short.
No.
No, because most of your short films are really quite long films.
Right. Yeah.
So you've proven that you can make product and that you can make quite a diversity of films, and this is what brought you to this particular project. But just let's talk a bit more about you and how you got to this project. So as a filmmaker, obviously you need a script or something that inspires you. What happened in the case of this film called Smile?
It's all about, I forgot my words. So it's all about like human experience. So my experience with this was like, you always have a rough time in your life. You're kind of grumpy, sad, weather, family, other stuff. So I was in the same zone once and driving on the Port Road. Mm-hmm. And when, suddenly I saw a man holding that board saying, smile, it's free. And it just made me, snap out of my situation for a minute from my head. And then I thought about it, yeah, smile, it's free. Like it doesn't cost a penny.
But even more so, there's a story in this.
Yes. So
how did you develop that story?
So on that day I had an appointment, so I couldn't stop, although I wanted to stop there and then. As a filmmaker, you're always looking for something, A man who's holding this sign, he must have a story. Like, why is he doing that,
Exactly.
And then it took me a few months. Then I was driving on the Port Road again, and I happened to see Stephen Cord. As I stopped, pulled over, came to him, shook his hand, and I spoke to him about, is it okay? Because I'm a film student. At that time, I was a film student. I was coming to uni to do my degree. And I was like, I need to do something. I don't know, is it okay to, have a chat on the camera? And Stephen was amazing. He said, yeah, of course. So, and then that's how it started 2 years before I happened to complete the doco.
Okay, yeah. So this is a documentary, but it needed some sort of funding. So how did that happen?
So funding, when
because you've got to pay people to make these things.
You do, or ask favours. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't.
Well, yes, everyone helps each other out where they can. Yeah. You still got to eat something at the end of the day.
Yeah. So then I saw this initiative when I graduated from the uni. I was doing a few other films and finishing off. Then I happened to know that City of Charleston was giving some funding for a filmmaker or telling a story who lives in the area about a person. And then I spoke to Steve and I was like, hey, I would like to apply for this one. Then I applied for that one, and it made it happen. And then we showcased
you actually made the documentary.
Yes.
And then, okay, how do I get the public, and not just the public, but other film producers to have a look at this? So you took it to, well, there's a major film festival in the world called the Cannes Film Festival in France.
Yes.
But this wasn't part of that film festival, but it's part of the festival. Look at you there looking terribly smart. This was the Diversity Festival in Cannes. Right.
That's what the showcase when it happened there. So that's actually Cannes, where
just proving
the festival,
that you were there.
I was there, yeah. It's the same place.
Yes, I know. And this, you became one of the official selection of the Diversity in Cannes.
That's right.
Short film showcase.
Yeah.
And you won a prize.
Won a Best Editor award.
Who
there.
edited it?
I did.
Yes.
You happen to do most of the things.
You do, but the point was you were noticed, and that's probably the most important thing.
Like for me, the major tick in the boxes is like when you tell a story and people connect to it. I think there's one video as well, like how people are reacting to the showcase and telling me how good it was and how they can connect to the story.
Yeah.
Because we all often, forget about the little things, smile,
Absolutely, but we're not just going to talk to you in this program. Yeah. Stephen's been waiting over there patiently, and we're going to talk to Stephen actually about why he decided to put the sign up there and the reactions that he's had. And we'll be back in a moment to do just that. Welcome back to Our Time. Yogi Devgan is our special guest, along with Stephen Cord. That's all about the film that Yogi made of you. Welcome, Stephen.
Great to be
here.
Now,
what's interesting is actually seeing where Yogi saw you, and we've got some shots where he actually saw you first of all, holding up this board. Well, that's Yogi meeting you, I think, for the first time.
Yeah, on the side of Port Road.
Yeah.
He's pulled up and asked if he could do, film that about Smile at Three.
Why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Which we're going to talk about in a minute. But also, you've done this in lots of different places too, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Because you've also gone into the city.
Yeah.
It looks like the Rundle Mall in Adelaide.
Glen Osmond Road as well. When I was staying, when the homeless were brought off the street, we were put into hotels and motels during
this was
COVID.
During COVID,
right. Because they had, we all had to be in lockdown, so I was kind of thinking, well, we're going to be stuck on the street. And then I heard that they were going to put us in hotels and motels. So that's where we went to. And then, of course, I'd stand out front on Glen Osmond Road and get smiles. And, Topham Mall in the city.
Right.
Rundle Mall as well.
So how did all this begin? When did you discover that smiles are contagious and can make people feel completely different about their world?
I've kind of known it for a fair while. And then, of course, hearing back in the late 90s that smiling actually releases serotonin into the brain, which is the feel-good drug, as we all know. And knowing that, I guess that wasn't until later that it came into it. It was back in 2018, one of the politicians from Adelaide had come up to Murray Bridge and said some things about Murray Bridge. And, of course, the people in Murray Bridge really wore that they felt like it was against them. And then, so I just was thinking, what can I do to cheer up the town? And Smile at Three was born from that.
It's such a simple thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is actually your original board, isn't it?
Yes,
this one here.
Absolutely.
But what I love about it is that on the other side of the board, it says...
Thanks. Yeah. That's for the fireys and cops and all the first responders and CFS and stuff when they go past. I'll stand up and point at them and make sure they know it's for them. Yeah. Sort of
brilliant.
Another little mission I'm doing as well.
So did you have a tough life prior to this?
No, absolutely.
But this has really changed the way you look at life as well.
Yeah, well, At first, it was just, of course, Smile It's Free, and then I added other things like Trust Your Intelligence, Just Be You, things like that. It was all about mental health. Within 6 weeks of me first starting, I realised this is a really powerful mental health tool. Murray Bridge took photos and videos, and they all posted it, and it became viral. And then it was in 2019, I came back to Adelaide and did it in Adelaide, and it was massive. And then I went, after about 7.5 weeks in Adelaide, I went back to Murray Bridge. And I was
Are you
doing
from Murray Bridge originally?
No, from Adelaide originally,
Okay.
but I was, funny story, back in 1990, hitchhiking to Melbourne to see Dad, and I got stuck in Murray Bridge. Ran into a friend from high school and lived there for years. So
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when Yogi approached you, how, did you just stop the car
I just stopped.
and walk up to the poor man and say hello? And stole his sign as well. Look at you. But what did you do?
Nothing. I just had a quick chat with him, and then he was busy as well. As like, how about we exchange numbers, or I'll give you a call, and then I'll come down, and we have a coffee. I think we had a coffee, and then we had a good chat.
Did you feel at the time, oh, here's another one with big dreams?
No, well, I was actually hoping that somebody would put. There's a bit in the documentary which is actually, I found the answer to mental health, and that's why I still do it. And I've been looking for a way to get the key to mental health into the system. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. I tried to give it to the government. So by Yogi turning up, it was almost a blessing. It was like, I'd put it out there, I need to get it out there. Yogi turned up, and it was great.
That's the power of positive thinking, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
Things can happen.
Yeah.
How's it affected you knowing that you've now been seen literally around the world?
Well, it hasn't changed me in any way. Made me happier, maybe. That's about it. But I'm
Well,
still
that's
the
the
same
idea of
person.
the whole thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
To make you
absolutely,
happier.
Yeah.
So we've got a little clip here from the actual production, which starts off with a girl looking really, this isn't the very beginning of the film, but she's driving a car, looking very sort of upset with life generally.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at that.
I just cried because I knew I wouldn't see her again. It's hard forming connections with people at my age, especially when you're single too, because you always have a couple of friends. So I cried the whole way along Port Road until I got to wherever I got to, and I saw this random guy on the side of the road, and he was waving a sign that said smile. And I just got out of my head. I got out of my own thoughts, I got out of my own misery, and I thought, what a wonderful person who would do that for strangers. So I beeped my horn and gave him a wave. I drove the rest of the way home feeling much more positive just because of one man on the side of the road.
They realised that something so simple could make them smile.
And that's what it's all about.
So what is your background story?
Well, I was born in Adelaide back in 1970, down at Glenelg. Parents sort of, split and went their own ways, so I sort of had the jumping backwards and forwards between the parents and whatnot. And then once I moved out very young, and from there, that's where life really went pear-shaped. Ended up with mental health issues from all the things that I experienced.
Was that because of not having sort of the close affection of both parents together? Or
no, that wasn't an issue. I had great relationship with both my parents.
Right. That's actually quite important to make that point, that it's not actually your parents' fault that things went necessarily wrong.
No, well, it was my choice at a young age to move out. I didn't want to be told by my parents anymore, as a lot of teenagers
From about the age of 14 it starts?
About around there, a bit earlier maybe, about 13.
Okay.
But and then I ended up living on the street for a long time.
Just stop there for a tick.
Yep.
We hear a lot about people living on the street and how difficult it is. Making that choice, you're the first person I've actually had to talk to about this, but making that choice to do that, what happens inside your head? Do you think, well, that's no good, I'll just go and sleep where I can, get food when I can?
Well, a lot of the time it's either been my actions have led me to be booted out of wherever I was staying.
Oh, okay.
Or a lot of the time it was couch surfing, staying at a mate's place but only living on the lounge. And of course, as we know, that's still homeless. You don't have a room. You don't have somewhere to be, that
And
privacy. So.
They say you can stay for a night or two, and after 6 weeks, they're thinking, when's you leaving?
Yeah. So, of course, I don't want to stay too long, so I do move on. But I also had a lot of situations where I had nowhere. And it's not because of my actions at the time. It might have been my mates were already looking after a couple of other people or something. They just didn't have the room.
Do you find that it's people like yourself, do you sort of come together to support each other, or is it?
We used to.
Or you're very much still alone?
That was very much an 80s thing.
Right.
These days it's, you might get the odd small group will band together, but they look out for themselves. It's not,
right. You don't look after each other for safety reasons?
Well, my last couple of experiences on the street, I didn't find that, no.
What's your worst experience?
Living on the street? Robbed constantly, bashed sometimes. Well, people try to bash me a few times, but...
What, from other street people?
No, the public.
Really?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. A lot of us are seen as scum, but we're just normal people. Sometimes we're going through a rough period, that's all.
Yeah. I can understand that. Is it the difficulty then of finding work when you're in that situation? Because one of the hard things is you don't have an address.
Yeah, that's right.
And not having an address is really a weird thing. You can't have a licence, you can't get services.
Nowhere to go back to.
What about a health card? What about a health card?
Yeah. I still had Centrelink, but back up until about 2000, you had to lie. You had to say, I'm living at this address.
Right.
Because if you had no fixed address, you didn't get paid.
Right.
Yeah, so...
Do you think, was it just difficult for you to find a profession or a job in life that you enjoyed, that you felt comfortable doing?
No, I've had some pretty good jobs over the years, but a lot of my jobs were, because it was in civil or in construction, it only lasts as long as the job.
Right.
Then you got to move on and try and find something else.
I understand that.
And it's always when you're getting towards the end of the job, that's when you start to look.
Yeah, right. Yogi, what has meeting Stephen meant for you? Because you come from a completely different background, from being born in India, moving to the UK, being a land agent, meeting your wife at an airport here in Australia, having a family.
Too many stories.
That's your whole life in one quick story?
No, I think for me, it's like human stories are very important, and homelessness or the problems aren't in one country. It's all around the universe, all around the world as well. Like where we grew up in India, there's so much homelessness there as well. People live under the poverty.
Could you relate to Stephen because you've seen that in India?
Yeah, like I can relate to the humanity because, every human has got the right to live until or to a basic standard somehow, And coming to the Western countries, definitely, for us, born in India, like Western countries are the richest one, they don't have no problem. This is how we grew up seeing stuff. But
I understand.
When you're coming to these countries and you see this stuff, like before Kansa, I went to the UK back in there, and homelessness there is a big problem.
At the moment, life around the world is very similar. Yeah. But listen, not to leave you on a bad thought process, but we'll be back in a tick with something more positive. Our guests this time on our time are Yogi Devgan and Stephen Cord, the Smile Man. Stephen, you weren't over in Cairns, so everything had to come back to you via Yogi, and we've got some footage that Yogi shot. Being a filmmaker and shooting it long ways on your phone, Yogi, what went wrong with the widescreen stuff? We've got this footage here.
That wasn't me who's shooting. Someone else shot it for me.
Because you're in the footage talking.
That's right.
But you should have directed them better, being a director.
Yeah, true. It's
good that we know each other well enough to be able to say that. But what's fascinating here is it's the Queen of, where was she?
Congo.
the Queen of the Congo,
Yeah.
this woman here, you can see that she was very impressed.
Yeah, she loved it because she was a doctor of psychology as well, I think.
Okay.
And she loved the
So
message.
she needs to talk to the Australian government on your behalf.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she did mention that she's going to come to Australia and meet us and stuff. So,
Right.
Excellent. That'd be great.
So if you're living in Adelaide and you see Stephen anywhere with one of these signs, so you're making them yourself.
Yeah.
So how are you surviving when it gets cold? Because we've just gone through a very cold winter.
I've grown my own fur coat.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. Nah, just chuck a blanket on or an extra jacket, and it's no big deal.
What's the best reaction you've had apart from Yogi's?
Just people come back, or we'll drive around and pop back in and stop
Beep
and say
their
hello.
horn or...
Yeah, lots of beeping of the horn, and
They don't give you lollies or drinks, do they?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Really? Okay.
Sometimes I'll get free lunch or something like that, or it's been great. The support from the crowd out there. Hot days, they'll bring me a nice cold drink. If it's freezing, they'll bring me a coffee. Yeah,
Oh, that's
it's been
brilliant.
awesome. Yeah.
How long have you been doing this altogether?
I started on February the 18th March the 18th, 2018.
That long?
Yeah.
How amazing.
Yeah.
How many people do you reckon have seen you and smiled?
I'll just tell you a story as well. The comedian, she done Master of Psychology as well,
Yeah,
I think.
the lady that we saw in the film,
So I posted Stephen's photo on my socials, and she's one of my friends on there. And then she wrote back to me, sending me Stephen's photo. She goes like, oh, I had to meet him, and she was literally telling me the story exactly like how I felt. And then I asked her, I was like, would you like to be on my doco? And then that's how I interviewed her.
That's how that happened.
Yeah.
Apart from anything else, I mean, you did the city quite proud. There's some lovely drone shots there for the doco. And, it's a real compliment because the eyes of the world are watching for everything that happens in...
It's
I
a
wanna
local
call it
story.
Cairn because we do the R sound, but it's can.
Yeah,
Can.
Can't.
It's amazing how a film festival that's I suppose the nucleus of the whole festival and all the side festivals that are part of that.
There were few happening at the same time as well. And so loads of filmmakers I met there, and someone's film were playing on that cinema. This one played in Hilton, a hotel there,
Right.
and then loads of it was like a full day event.
But from your perspective and looking for stories and looking to really build a career as a film producer, director, because that's what you see yourself as mostly, isn't it?
Yeah.
We talked at the very beginning about how difficult that is to get a foot in the door. For anyone who's watching this, and hopefully you are watching this, it's just interesting how all people in the arts usually have to go through a really long waiting period before they get noticed. And that's how I guess you're feeling at the moment.
Yeah, that's right.
You've got
But
a
at
lot
the
of
same
product.
time, yeah, a lot of products. So most of them, so my other film which I shot in India won 22 awards around the world. And then this
quickly
doco.
talk about that because that's another...
Yeah.
Even I've done a film with you. So.
Yes, and another, this doco, Smile It's Free, it won, it was Bhutan Film Festival was a best documentary. Then there were 3 Acts of God in Canada. It was best documentary. Now it's in finals in one of the festival in India and few more as well.
But the film, just really quickly, we're running out of time, but the film in India was about the mutilation of a child,
Yes.
so that people could get them to beg,
Yeah.
and that still goes on in India, doesn't
It still goes on. It's
So-
just not in India. It's loads of other countries as well.
I mean, it doesn't matter anywhere around the world. There's a story you can make a film or a fantasy film on, or a serious documentary. Oh, Stephen, thank you very much for being part of our time this time and being so frank with us. It's great.
It's been a pleasure.
And Yogi, continued success.
Thank you.
And hopefully somebody's watching this and says, oh, I need to talk to that man about an idea I've got. Thanks for being with us this time on Our Time. So until next time, keep yourself nice till then.